In session two, we talk about forgiveness. In fact, just last week with the newest group in DFW, I was talking to them about forgiveness based on session two. And in that session, what we talked about was the difference between forgiveness and trust. Two different things, because forgiveness absolves my right to pursue justice. That's in God's hands, but I hold nothing, including I still hope for the best for them. Forgiveness completely. Trust is different, right? And so when we talk about trust, we want to be able to issue it to people in a way with which it'll help them and make them stronger. I thought about this on Sunday at church, and I reflected on another piece that I often share when it comes to forgiveness, and that's feedback. Now, here's what you should understand because it relates to trust. There are four types of people who are out there. And let's say that you're in a place where you feel like there's a wrong. Forgiveness should happen. It does happen. You've absolved your right to pursue any justice, but then you come back and there are four different types of people that you may tell them they're forgiven, and they're going to react four different ways. One, someone's going to hear your feedback and hear you say where you're disappointed with them, or there was a wrong, and that they're forgiven. That first person is going to hear, receive it, comprehend it, and react. This is the best case scenario. It's somebody that says, thank you for telling me the truth. Thank you for telling me the way you feel. We can grow. I can grow as a result of your telling me this. Thank you. Person number one. Person number two is similar but different. And they're different in the way that they receive your feedback and they may not be able to respond immediately. They may need to process, and that amount of time to process could be a good amount of time before they're able to absorb it, comprehend it, and respond to it. Now, we have to give people a certain amount of time to be able to comprehend, perhaps sift through our feedback and decide how much of it that they can see, and they may need to work through that. But the time with which they're comprehending it, ultimately, they land on a place that you can reconcile and be functional, if not thriving, as a result. That's person number two. Then the next two are the opposite of the first two. The third one is what Solomon in God's word called the fool. And the fool is the one that continues in folly no matter how much the feedback. His comparison is the dog that comes back to eat their own barf, right? And so that is the experience of the fool. They, no matter how much they're told, they can only hear things, as Solomon describes, by blows on their back. It takes that kind of motivation for fools to move away from their folly. And so we should understand that these last two, they don't fall into a camp where it's going to be easy to trust them, and we need to avoid fools. So we have to be able to assess with grace as well as truth, both grace and truth, whether or not we're dealing with a fool. The fourth type of person only understands handcuffs, guns, prison, police. They only respond to authority and force. And so it won't matter how much feedback is given. Right, those first two are the ones with which trust issuing as well as collaboration is worth the work to get to a place with which your relationship continues to thrive. Forgiveness is a key tool for you and I to continue in growing relationships because here's the thing. If you don't deal with this, you're going to accumulate debt. And as you accumulate debt, that will be a relational debt because you haven't given feedback or you haven't forgiven. You will eventually explode, and you won't know why you exploded because you've just been accumulating that debt. So remember, you don't want to accumulate the debt. You want to get it, forgive it, give the feedback, for those two people or two types of personas that you can count on to help you and to be with you through this process of building strong relationship. Assess for yourself, are we dealing with a fool who will only live in folly, or someone with which they only respond to prisons and authority? Then you need to avoid those two, and that's not an issue of looking for trust. However, I still want to be able to forgive them. I still want to absolve and allow God to handle this in his timing, and for me to hope for the best, even for the fool, in spite of the fact that I cannot help them. In fact, I need to avoid them in my path. All right, I hope that helps you, because I think that forgiveness, as I was telling the group last week, that forgiveness is something that I grew up hearing, that as soon as I have to give forgiveness, and as soon as I've given forgiveness, you have full access to me. And if you're dealing with a fool, and quite honestly, I've dealt with a lot of fools, I'm sure you have as well, that process needs to be assessed for these personas. And the Bible clearly talks about the last two, but we hope to be dealing with the first two. And we want to be in brotherly love and family love with those that we're in faith with, and those that we share DNA with, so long as they don't fall into those last two camps. All right. As always, I'm available to your scrutiny if you find something biblically you want to wrestle with, but you're still processing, and I can help you respond here, and I'd love to talk to you about it. All right, guys, hope this thought on forgiveness, feedback, and fools was helpful to you. All right, God bless you.